Um, well, this is an update. Got to go see my chiropractor today, and I asked him a little bit more about my sprained toe, being the doctor didn't really give me much information. Turns out I can walk a little bit, so I don't have to sit on my butt anymore. So I'm gonna be getting into the house and cleaning it, probably around tomorrow because it's pretty late in the day right now. Um, and it looks like hell. And I would like enough time to make sure I can get it all done in one shot. So I'm just gonna wait till tomorrow and get it done. And I mean, no offense, but yeah, I'm very, very disappointed in my baby sister right now. I'm like 26 years old, and all you could do is 2 loads of dishes in a matter of 4 days. That's it. Yeah, you don't mind getting snitty and snooty with me if I don't put something in place the way you want it to be, exactly the way you want it to be, because you're very much a perfectionist. But I guess only a perfectionist is the point that you want me to do it for you, but not you do it yourself. Um, Not being an adult about it and pick up after yourself. I mean, no offense, but yeah, that's very, very annoying. So yeah, the house looks like hell right now, but things that my chiropractors told me I can walk a little bit. Um, I guess it's okay for me to sit, every now and then to, make sure it heals, but it's also okay for me to walk around. And he said it might take up to 10 weeks for it to heal. So I am a little glad that he told me I could walk because it is a little nerve-wracking for me to be sitting all the time. I really don't like it. It's annoying. I don't like it at all. Especially with my ADHD. I want to get up. I want to do something. I do not like sitting on my butt all day. It's not stimulating enough. I need things to do. Um, I also need a little fun, but I need things to, focus on and do. Because it's just, yeah. I do not like sitting all day. It's not stimulating enough. It's just too mind-numbing. And, dear Lord, me and my ADHD, I just cannot take it. So, I am kind of glad that I get to, get up and move around now. And gonna clean the house tomorrow. Um, and another thing, I kind of had a bit of an intellectual conversation with my chiropractor today. Um, which I enjoyed. I actually love intellectual conversation. When I say intellectual, I don't mean any debating. I mean just one sharing their thoughts and another sharing their thoughts and opinions and agreeing on things and sometimes sharing um emotional, mental growth. Uh, I told him about he seems to ask about what's going on at home too, and he sometimes tells me about things what it was like for him too growing up. As in, I'm the oldest, so uh, and I love this book written by a psychologist that I read once that uh, pretty much mentions the pros and cons of growing up the oldest, and especially if you're a girl, the cons of growing up the oldest. Uh, how you're expected to be more mature, how you're expected to know better all the time, and just, um, yeah, expected to act less like a child than the rest of your siblings, even though you are a child. Um, I can't say I had any of the pros of being the oldest sibling, though. Mostly all the cons. um, so yeah, the book, I can't remember who it was written by. It was, oh, wait, I see it on my bookshelf. I'm gonna go grab it. Read it. Okay. It is called Growing Up Firstborn: The Pressure and Privilege of Being Number One. The book is written by Dr. Kevin Lehman. Okay, it's Leman. Lehman or Lemon? Okay, yep. Arthur of the Birth Order book. So, yeah, it's not a young book. It's pretty old. Let me see, when was it published? I totally forgot to look. I remember I checked before. Looks like so far the youngest date I'm seeing on here is 1989. So it's an 80s book. Yeah, but my chiropractor, he is also the oldest of his siblings, so he knows what that's like, being expected to be more mature and more mentally advanced and knowing, and should know better all the time. um, yeah, pretty much I admitted to him today that, he asked how things were going on at home, and I pretty much, just said that they're kind of okay. It's just, uh, you know, recently I had to come to terms that the things my mom's doing are deliberate. She's deliberately manipulating things. I told him there was an incident at Walmart. And she just deliberately manipulated it, and there was no way I could make an excuse for it, or maybe she didn't mean to. It was clearly just literally on purpose. And he admitted to me that he too had been abused. It wasn't so much by his parents, though. It was someone else. He didn't say what happened, though. um but it seems like we both seem to handle the way we are, abuse that we've gone through the same way. And that's just try to make this world a better place. Um, Try to learn and correct with it, and rather than uh, correcting or blaming others, because that's what their abuser's doing. Their abuser has probably been through abuse, and they are, rather than going inward to correct that pain or find healing, they're trying to lash out at someone else to make someone else hurt as bad as they do, or put the blame on someone else for all the abuse they've gone through that has nothing to do with what they're going through. Uh, that maybe the abuse gave them a bit of a temper, so they may blame this person for all their temper, and the person didn't abuse them. It had nothing to do with. They have nothing to do with their temper. Then it has to do with they didn't find a coping skill to deal with their pain, and they're an angry person now. And the only one that can help them through that anger is them. And the truth is, no, I don't believe it's fair that somebody who has been abused has to work through all their pain and self-healing, because the person that abused them should be the one that has to suffer with healing them, not them. But as is life, sometimes it's not fair, but it is our choice who we want to be. And it seems like you and I just pretty much chose to be the same kind of person, and that was just look inwardly and find healing and help for ourselves, um, and try our best to make the world a better place the best we can. He did not go into telling me, what happened to his abuse or how he was abused. Um, I don't think he knows too much completely what's going on at home. I have told him, pretty much my mom's just kind of nasty to me, and she's kind of manipulative, and my dad is worse. um, because at some level, I really do believe my mom loves me. I do. Um, but she's just got too much pain to deal with that she doesn't know how to deal with or cope with, and it ends up lashing out at whoever she chooses to lash out at. Um, which is not a random person; it's a person she'll already select, and right now it's me. Um, My dad really didn't select a single person though. He kind of just does it to everybody. So, um, yeah, guess he at least doesn't have a favorite. I just everybody gets treated with equal um bad attitude from him. So, yeah. So, you know, just kind of expressed that to him, but it was nice to have an intellectual talk and just, just, I guess you could say, just talking with someone who understands and talking with somebody who seems to get it and just seems to understand what it feels like and understand what that's like trying to conquer over it, and also understand what that feels like when the only person you can help is yourself, and it pains you because you want to help the other person, the other people. You love them and you can't. They can only help themselves, and it hurts. Even when they're hurting you, it hurts because when they're hurting you, they're hurting too. Um, so it's hard, it hurts knowing that the truth is you can't help them. Um, and he kind of made a good point today because I kept saying I wish they just had help, and he finally pointed out to me you could get a person help, but they doesn't mean they're going to take it. And I realized he was right because I realized how many times my parents have gone to a counselor. Mostly church counseling. They once did go to a counselor that was a real counselor, with an education and everything. Um, and didn't like her. My dad in particular didn't like her and my chiropractor pointed out the truth, and that was the case why they didn't like him. Because instead of giving you permission to put blame on everybody else, it counsels you to put blame on your problems that you have and your bad attitude inside yourself, because then you have to work inwardly and you realize that you're the problem and you're the blame for all your problems. Um, that's not to say you haven't gone through hurt or you weren't abused or didn't go through crap. That really did happen, but when you're an adult and you've grown up, there is a point in life then where you can choose who you're going to be and whether you're going to be a healer or a hurter, hurting other people. Are you going to heal yourself and heal others, or are you going to continue hurting and then hurt others? Um, which is a shame that anybody chooses to continue hurting. But it's sad because it seems like some of them don't know. Um, my dad does not want to admit that he's the problem to deal with a lot of his problems. He'd rather blame everybody else than, look inwardly to resolve his problems. He'd rather claim he has disobedient children rather than he was so damn harsh and constricting and barely even able to breathe that occasionally you'd have a child with an outburst because they can't take it anymore. They can't take the control over them anymore. And I say outburst loosely because frankly there was no outburst when I was growing up. It would just be a moment of just so much stress. For once in our lives, one time we would look at him and say no. And he would absolutely not even focus in on the fact of how many times we did everything he told us to do. Instead, he would just focus on the one time we just couldn't take it anymore. We would bluntly look him in the face and say no. And I admit there was a few times growing up I had, because I was just that stressed out. I was just that too much. um, that I couldn't take it. And he would make sure to call my grandma, his mom, and make sure she knew how disobedient we were being that day. He never said anything about how good kids we were or how obedient we were. Even when we were, even on the majority of the days when we were obedient and doing everything we were told to do, every time he got a moment to, it would be, my kids are so disobedient, they disrespect me, and I just can't make my wife happy. Though he didn't hug his life, he didn't hug his wife, he didn't love up to his wife, he didn't kiss his wife, he never even really bought her gifts, ever. So this is why I say that, you know, he puts blame on everybody else for his problems rather than going inwardly to find healing and fixing it. Um, you're going to keep seeing your kids as disobedient if that's what you've convinced yourself of, because one time they said no, rather than focus on how much they do right all the time and they obey all the time. Um, and the distance in your relationship with your kids then is your fault. It's not theirs. Nobody wants to be hugged. I mean, I take that back because he didn't really hug us. I mean, nobody wants to go and hug somebody that grabs you by the ankle and holds you upside down until and just beats your ass until he feels better. Or beat wherever his hand lands until he feels better. Um, Nobody wants to go up there and hug that guy and he'll act like it's our fault that there's a distance in the relationship. Like, no, dude, that's yours. um, and act like it's my mom's fault they're not close. And, granted, I think both of my parents had something that they offered that separated their marriage a lot, but, um, like, my mom does have a lot of hurt she needs to work through, and my dad just has a really freaking huge ego that he doesn't seem to believe he does anything wrong. So that has a lot to do with separating their marriage too. But that's kind of the stuff that me and my chiropractor were talking about today, just having a conversation. And yeah, it just it felt good to talk with somebody like-minded and understanding and agreeing. And just yeah. 'Cause, a lot of people I meet, some of my friends, they want me to lash out at my parents. I even had one friend tell me that you should break a plate. You should just toss it to the ground and tell them to go clean the dishes for once. And I was like, I don't think I can do that. So, yeah, I clearly haven't done that. But, uh, people handle their pain differently. Some of them want me to handle it that way, and I really don't want to do that. I'd rather just work on myself and work on getting myself out and getting my own place and a job and such like that. That's really what I want to work on right now. Um, so yeah, but that was the conversation we had, and it was pleasant. It was intellectual, and I I like a good old intellectual conversation. I even like it when I find out I'm wrong sometimes. I even like it when there's something I learn from it. Um, you know, because, like realizing that even if my parents got help, that's not going to help them. That was a realization that was a little hard to sink in, but, he was right. It's not going to help. They've already been to help and it didn't help because they don't want to receive that help. They don't want to receive that, hey, mom, you don't forgive. You need to work on forgiving and letting go to reach your healing. And then she takes it as, well, um, I want you to pretend like he's not an asshole and act like you've done everything wrong. That's how she takes it as, is that he's not an asshole and she's done everything wrong, rather than realize that when they're asking her to forgive, they're not telling her that to pretend he's not an asshole. And it's not that they're pretending he's not an asshole too. They are acknowledging very much he's an asshole, but they're trying to focus on how to correct him being an asshole rather than focus on the fact he is one, but focusing rather on how to correct that. And they equally are trying to focus on how to correct issues of pain that she has, and that has to start with her forgiving. Which has never happened in any counseling event. I still remember every time my parents would come home from counseling, she's screaming and ranting and how my dad did this and did that and did this and did that, and they don't want him to change. They just think he's king so and this and that. And my dad will kind of just do nothing at all. And, for once they had a non-religious counselor, which happened to be mine at the time too. And they got back from the counseling, and my dad just flat out said he didn't like her because she said that he was kind of just self-centered and he needed to expand and think of others, and he didn't agree that that's how he was. And it's like, well, the rest of us can see you are. So that's the thing. They go into counseling and they say they want help, but they don't want to hear or accept the help that actually is given to them. So, yeah. But yeah, back to what I was saying, like, I was talking with my chiropractor and just had an intellectual conversation. It was just nice. And it's just nice to know sometimes you're not alone and somebody's been abused too. It's not that I'm like, yay, they were abused. Nobody would be happy for anybody being abused, but it's just nice to know that how somebody can overcome in their abuse. That's nice. And to know that I'm taking the right path by trying to overcome as well. It's, just nice talking with like-minded people. I in particular enjoy it because I enjoy peaceful routes. I enjoy healing routes. And I noticed a lot of people I meet in this world do not seem to be that way. They don't want to seem to heal. They don't want to seem to heal themselves or others. And it's nice to meet other people that have the like-mindedness as I do, and that's just to heal, not just others, but yourself. And I think if you're going to heal others, you really got to start with yourself because, then you understand where they're coming from. Then you understand where they're coming from, how to get through to heal. And when you do that, it's easier to help others heal. So yeah. One more thing. My ring came in today. I was on Facebook, and there was this supernatural website that was shared on there on one of the pages I liked because I freaking love that show. And the website that was posted was giving away free rings, but you had to pay for shipping. I think it was like $7.47 for shipping. And you had to pay for shipping like per ring, and all I want is one, so yeah. So I got myself a supernatural ring. It's a gold band, and it has a little symbol on it. Kind of like that little sun symbol with the pentagram star inside. So yeah, it came in today, and I was really freaking happy. So I'm wearing it on my ring finger and just hoping I don't itch because I actually have an allergy to costume jewelry. Oh, it's stainless steel, so I don't know if it's gonna make me itch or not, but I hope not. I guess we'll see. But I'm really excited to get it. But I better go now. So you have a good morning, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Goodbye. Yeah.